want to welcome everyone here for the first annual Mayor McCarthy's Charity Gala. We want to thank everyone for coming here today. For us, this is a big day. And a big day can't be made unless people help out and do the things that they need to do. And before we even start with the festivities, what I need to do is I need to thank the people who were very instrumental in making this a success. We formed the Board of Trustees, and the people who jumped in and helped us out right away. First person is Marva Hanks, who's not here. You would notice her if you went to the affair. She was the one who was able to kiss Anthony Nestor on top of the head without bending over. The second one is Warren Valentovic, who also couldn't be here. So I want to thank them for all that they have done. Naturally, Kathy Loretto, who is with us today. Kathy not only has been a dear friend for a long time, but she has been a great supporter of Bloomfield through ABB Lummis. So I want to thank you, Kathy, for everything that you've done. My life doesn't exist without my wife, who was Janet, who was with me from the day one on this. And if there was anybody who could make the Buffalo dance on a nickel, she did it. She got the money. She helped with everything that was to be done. And she's the other trustee with the firm, with the 501c3, I should say. But again, a lot of people helped. Rosemary Brown, who was, again, she's new to being a secretary for the mayor, and as this is part of the mayor's plan for helping out, she was there every day. She licked the stamps, even though I told her they were pasted already. We wasted about 200 stamps, so what the heck, it was a charity affair. And Samantha De Palma, both of them just every day helped us out, so we want to thank them so much for that. And again, we were successful. And for a charity ball to be had by the mayor's office and to be deemed successful, you need to have those people who are willing to reach into their pockets, come up with the money to do these things. And we really did have a lot of people who did that. Some of the bigger people, and I need to thank them as they're here today, Investors Savings Bank came up. I know we honored them. We didn't honor them to get the money, but we got the money when we honored them, so, you know, we want to thank them for that. PNC Bank, and Dan Tomasino was here today with us, you know, who has always been helpful to the people of Bloomfield. Provident Bank, again, one of the groups that just came in, said, okay, Mayor, here's a check, do whatever you need. BCUR, Excel Credit, McManaman in Scotland. McManaman in Scotland, not only were they the people who helped with their financial, but their legal expertise in setting up the 501c3 and doing all the things necessary that we had to do to be a success. And last but not least, amongst the many, many people who contributed, our good neighbors across the street, Bloomfield BMW, Greg Holloway, again, one of those people that when you pick up the phone and you say, Greg, I need something, he never says how much, he never says anything, just where do I send it to? So I want to thank all the people from BMW. This is a day that Janet and I have looked forward to for a number of years. About 10 years ago, we were probably 11 now, and I realize I'm mayor for 11 years. 11 years ago, I tell the story that I was mayor for about 15 minutes, and I got beeped that there was a fire in town. And as I got there, literally as I got to the front door of the house, which was ablaze on Thomas Street, a fireman and a police officer were carrying out two teenagers, two young children. They were part of Maggie Noel's family. And those two children didn't survive. They died that day. At the end of the day, I went to Maggie and I said, you know, anything I can do to help you. And Maggie said, Mayor, just the fact that you're here is enough. But when I asked her about burial for her children, she said, I don't know how I'm going to bury them. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I said, let me take care of that. And I thought, you know, what does a mayor do? A mayor stands out there when people are in trouble, goes out and tries to find a solution to it. And I made 6 phone calls that afternoon. And the 6 phone calls got me back over $7,000 with which to to bury those children. We made another 2 phone calls, one to the police department, one to the fire department. And those men and those women of those 2 great organizations went out and got the school kids of this community to throw their nickels and dimes in. At the end of the day, they picked up $65,000 from nickels and dimes. And this is a great accomplishment to our police chief, our fire chief, the men and women that are part of this organization here. So we decided, Jan and I, for years of saying, you know what, we've got to be able to have a fund. We've got to be able to have it. And as what normally happens in a mayor, you've got 42 other different things each hour as opposed to each day that you have to take care of. So we finally got around to it. And as I say, when you got there, people were helpful. Everybody was willing, able, and joined in right away. And we got for what we thought to be an enormous amount of money. And I was still shocked that we have right now about $35,000 with which to give out. Today we'll give out about $20,000. The rest we'll use for other things, but these are the organizations that are here today. The executive committee, we sat down the other night and said, okay, what do we need to do? And my 2 bosses, Janet and Kathy, said, that's not enough. Well, you know, we started out with probably about $10,000, and my 2 friends here got us up to $20,000. But it was about the people in Bloomfield. It was about the organizations in Bloomfield. It was about those people that give back to the community. It's very difficult in this time and day to raise money. We've done it, but more importantly, it's for the family of Bloomfield. For 11 years I've stood up here and I've given my speech on Inauguration Day or January 1st, and I talk about the family of Bloomfield. Now's when the talk that I talked has now become the walk that I can walk. And it's because of the people that are here who help out every day that make this even better. The first one is the Bloomfield Recreation Department. And Michael Skirman is here. One of the things that we know that happens every year is that we are a family that has a lot of problems. We have an enormous amount of parents here, families here, who have only one parent. Some of those parents, if they're a single parent, are working 2 jobs a day just to make ends meet. Now, what I decided, what Mike and I talked about, and I talked to a couple of the Little League guys, and Mike is going to expand this a little bit more, is that we give families options. If you don't have the money to join up, then what you could do is you can work the stands or you can do something like that. Well, there are some times where that just isn't enough. Parents can't do it. The single mother can't do it. The single father can't do it. So what happens is their son, their daughter doesn't play. Kid doesn't know what to do with himself. So what we decided to do was, we're going to give a check today to the Bloomfield Recreation Department. And Mike will use this money as it is needed, so that if there's a child who can't play in some sport because of the fact that mom can't meet the obligations, dad can't meet the obligations, and doesn't have the money, that he will have the money to do this, to give to the league and say, look, here's $50 for so-and-so. Let him play. His mother or father doesn't have to have that obligation. So it gives me great pride and pleasure on behalf of the Mayor's Charity Ball to give the Recreation Department the first of $500 for their program.
I just wanted to thank the mayor and his wife and all the people on his executive committee for setting this up. It's something one of my ideas that I've been talking to the mayor about. Fortunately, we're able to secure these funds, and it's something that the Recreation Department and the Bloomfield Recreation Commission also want to expand on. So we're committed to making this a yearly thing for our group and for our organization. And this seed money will help us start that yearly obligation. So we're looking to also add and contribute to this fund so that, similar to school, no child should be left behind. If there is an organization or there's a team or sport or some activity that a child or a family wants to participate in, we want to make sure that they're able to do that. So with this money, we definitely appreciate it, and we'll be able to make that a reality. So thank you very much. Thank you.
I see Bishop Harris was only able to exercise one devil and get the Giants into the Super Bowl, so we'll have to work a little bit longer, huh? Bishop, thank you. The second organization. This is an organization that a lot of people in town don't know about. But what they do is they help those troubled kids. They help those kids that are in need. When you see those police officers dressed as Santa Claus, this is who it is. It's out of the Bloomfield Municipal Alliance. Pat Marchese and Spike Bear, Lieutenant Spike Bear, could you come up for a second? Time and time again at Christmas time, some kids don't have what other kids have. And that's either a decent meal, a Christmas outfit to wear, or a toy. Pat and the rest of the group under the BMA and the police department, who do an outstanding job each year, go out there and serve kids. You'll come in here someday around Christmas time and you look what they've done. And the police officers and Pat have filled up the courtroom with toys to give out, clothes to give out. Pat gives out everything. She'll give out beds and coats and everything. So on behalf of the Mayor's Charity Ball, I'd like to give the Bloomfield Municipal Alliance a check for $2,500.
Very much. We've been having the toy drive for about 20 years now. I think it's probably over 20 years, serving over 300 children in the township. We started with one Santa Claus, John Bonnet, who a lot of you are probably familiar with, and now we have 5 Santas that go into the house. It's a very unique program to Bloomfield, and the chiefs, all the past chiefs, have been very supportive of the program, and Chief Gould has been very exemplary in his support of the program as well. So we're going to hopefully keep it going, and hopefully it won't get too much bigger because we're running out of space to keep all the toys. Thank you very much.
They even now have a Spanish-speaking Santa Claus, which I think is the greatest thing in the world. I mean, that's great. The next one, again, we talk about things that we started, and Kathy was in the beginning of this. When I first became mayor, I noticed that there are a lot of groups within the town, a lot of the churches within the town that were kind of doing the same thing time and time again, and we were almost working against each other. So I called a meeting. Kathy hosted it. Lummis supplied the food. They supplied the area. We supplied the people. And what we got out of it was a group that got together and said, let's help Bloomfield people. It's called the Neighbor to Neighbor Network, and it's run by Paula Pikus and Karen Laurie. And what this organization does, it's part of the Board of Health, but what they do is they become a 501c3 so they can themselves raise money and give back to the people of Bloomfield. When there's a senior citizen who's in trouble and can't afford the rent, or can't afford the electricity, they have 2 places to go, one of which is the Neighbor to Neighbor Network. You know, I've for a lot of people, if you've been here at the council meetings, I've been under siege by a woman who asks me every day, every time she's here, you know, what am I doing for the seniors? And do I have a complex, or do I have something against seniors? I reminded her the other day that I am now a senior, so I guess that's the answer that it's done. But the Neighbor to Neighbor Network isn't just about seniors. It's about everybody. They've taken care of kids that don't have books. Paula and I went to an organization in West Orange. that gave out. Paula got our Bloomfield kids involved in this organization for the first time ever. First time ever. To go there up to the temple in West Orange and see racks and racks of clothing. I don't mean racks of clothing thrown around indiscriminately. I mean racks of clothing on clothes on racks that kids could pick their sizes. School books, school bags, everything that they needed. And Paula reached out and made sure that we got our Bloomfield people in there. So when it comes to taking care of the people of Bloomfield, the Neighbor to Neighbor Network is one of the proudest accomplishments I think this community has done. I have great pride in it. I have great respect for Karen and Paula for all they do. And on that, Paula and Karen, can you come up? I'd like to present the Neighbor to Neighbor Network with a check for $2,500 to do with what you need to do. Keep doing.
Thank you very much, Mayor. As you just said, you were there from the beginning. In fact, I remember I've been here 12 years. So after a year, we met when you first became mayor, and it was your vision that really started Neighbor to Neighbor Network. Let's take our volunteers, let's take our community partners, and let's put them together, and let's have an organization. And what have we created? We've created this organization that does so much. We work with our churches, we work with our banks, we work with our restaurants to provide food for people who don't have food, to provide visitation for our seniors, to provide affordable daycare, to provide animal care for our animals at the animal shelter. It doesn't end. We went, like you said, to an event this past August to provide our children with clothes and backpacks filled with everything they needed so that when they went to school, that first day of school, they were like every other child who walks into school with a brand new outfit. These kids didn't come in without supplies. They came in like every other child who was prepared to start that school year and learn. I just look on our website, see about all the great things we do. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Mrs. McCarthy. And we look forward to growing and being here for a long time.
When you think about the story that Paula just told about, what we do in our everyday lives is one thing. What we do for others is much more important. And a bishop, if you want to go to a church, house of worship, where you just stand up and just go crazy because the speeches. Bishop Harris is one of the greatest speakers I have ever seen. But what he talks about is he talks about the people and how we have to take care of the people. And what everyone here does, this is why I think this is so important on the things that we do. We bring people to normalcy. We bring people back to the fact that they can turn the lights on. I mean, a lot of people in this town don't understand. There are people around here who don't have the ability to turn on their lights, turn on their gas, to go to school the first day without a pair of shoes that don't have holes in them. These are the great things, to pick up a lunch one afternoon from the church because of the fact that this is what everybody else does. So to all these people here, and I know you don't get enough respect, and I know you don't get enough praise, and I know you don't get enough publicity on it, but you know where our heart is. And this is what it's all about, bringing people back to normalcy. And the other thing, let's talk about what they do. Bishop Harris and LaWanda Pleasants are people who give back to the community. If you go to the Bethel Church of Praise and Love, you see that. You see love, you feel love. Everybody there is just willing to do anything that they can to help the people in that community. Bishop Harris and LaWanda have started a food bank, the Rehobeth Food Bank. And what that does is it works with all the different groups that we have here. See, these are not individual groups, and I picked them because they're outside of everything. They all intertwine, they all work with each other. This is what's important. That symmetry amongst us, that symmetry that keeps us together and helps us do things. The Bethel Church of Praise and Love has a soup kitchen. They give out food. They give out food to those Bloomfield people who don't have it. And they'll be the first to tell you, and I'm sure they'll come up and tell you how much this helps the people. And what it does, again, it gives back to the community, and it gives some sense of normalcy. back to the community. We'd like to present the check to them for $2,500 for their continued success.
Good morning. I would like to say thank you, Mayor McCarthy, and to his precious wife, and to the committee, to all the institutions, public and private, to the police department, and to the fire department, who has been so kind to us over the years. To each of us today, we're so glad to be recipients. With the growing climate, as we find our communities, we feed and service over 22,000 people a year. And it's through your help and your efforts that we can continue. It's not easy, but your commitment to the community, Mayor, and you have been with us since the beginning, and we appreciate that. And we appreciate each of you who have contributed to make this successful. Our Executive Director, Wanda Pleasant, may have some words, if it's all right. She works in the trenches every day, every week. We feed and service a couple of times, a few times out of the month and on Thursdays, but we get phone calls every day. Every day we try to meet that need, and she puts the special effort in making it so. So I want to thank each of you, and it's wonderful that we work and have a working relationship here in Bloomfield with the different committees and those who have come to help us.
I would just like to personally thank Mayor McCarthy, his wife, all the contributors, the police department. I'd like to say to Paula and Karen, to all those individuals that we work so diligently with, every day and every week. We serve, as Bishop has said, over 22,000 people a year. They come every day looking for food, looking for service, and we try to do the best that we can. So we thank you for thinking of us today with this donation. It will be a blessing to the people in the community. Thank you.
Finally, what do you say about the United Way? The United Way has been an integral part of this community for over 50 years, and Ida's probably been there for all 50 of those. This is the organization when they had problems on the national level, local people deserted it. People no longer wanted to give to the United Way. But that didn't stop Ida and the people of the United Way. Ida kept giving, kept helping people. People who didn't have rent money, people who didn't have mortgage money, people who didn't have food, people who didn't have clothing, people who couldn't send their kids to school because they didn't have money for the bus. Every day, if you were down on Broad Street, Ida's there helping someone through the United Way. We are proud to have the United Way in this community. But we have to do more. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized that the majority of the people that come through this community that are in need of help, need of homes, need of clothing, need of everything, somehow stop at Ida's office. She'll then send them to Karen and Paula and Pat and the bishop. But the majority of the people start there. And without a doubt, every single time someone has come, someone has asked, Ida has found a way to give. Give in spite of the fact that on a local and a national level, the world has given less to the United Way. Well, I'm going to step it up today. I always say, you got to put your money where your mouth is. I give every year to the United Way through the payroll deduction, and I ask everybody, please, if it's $1, $2 a paycheck, let's do it, because it only goes back to help the people. Ida knows how difficult it is to raise money in this time, based upon the need, based upon the work, based upon the fact that we've got to step up and help the people of this community. I'd like to give Ida a check for $12,500.
United Way of Bloomfield actually helps people in Bloomfield. We support 13 different agencies, from low-income families, from daycare centers, the cerebral palsy kids, Down syndrome, you name it, we do it. No matter what it is, somebody comes to the United Way, we can do it, or we can refer them to actually our town hall, who does a great job with us. They work with us, and if somebody needs some help and we have the money, we do it. So of course, it's the residents in town and the companies, it's their support. Without their support, we could not do a thing, by the way. And we ask the community to help us out. And what the Needs Fund does, I work with the town, and of course, with their support, and they check the person. If somebody needs rent, food, and let me tell you, I think an awful lot of people are starving here in Bloomfield. People seem to be going hungry. It makes me sick when I see people coming into the office and saying, I don't have anything for this child. Can you do something for us? So of course, with the support of the money we receive, we do help them out. In fact, I like to even thank ShopRite because they give us these $25 little, what is it? Yeah, and we help them out that way. But you name it, if you know of anybody that needs our support, we're there to help them. And I'd like to thank you so much, Mayor, because this will go a long way. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. In closing, I just want, first of all, I want to thank everybody that's here today, and I want to thank the people who have helped make this a big success. You know, we talked about it for years, and when it finally reaches fruition, it's just something that is special. You know, for the next 2 hours, my wife will be crying, and unfortunately, you haven't seen me, but this is what it's all about. It's not about sitting up here as a mayor and banging the gavel and running a meeting. It's about leadership. It's about showing the people in this community what an example is. You've got to give. You've got to give back. I mean, we talk about it all the time, and you know, I'm not as a religious man as the bishop, but you know, you have to have God in your soul so that we can do this thing. There is a reason. There's a higher power for everybody. And that thing comes down to the fact that you've got to give back to the community. We're in a position to do it. We're in a position where we show leadership and we show how it's done. Times are tough. There's no question about that. There's no question at all. Everyone in this community today has some effect, has been affected by the economy. But every once in a while, like my mother and father would say, you got to give till it hurts. So I want to thank all those people that gave us the money. I want to thank all those people who do wonderful things for this community with the money. I want to thank my wife, Janet. I want to thank Kathy. I want to thank all the other members of the board. I want to thank Samantha and Rosemary for all their help they've given us. But most of all, I want to thank everyone just for being great Bloomfield people and helping us out. So, yes, thank you. See, that's what I said. That's why everybody has a boss. Everybody has a boss. Behind every man is a pushy woman. She'll push me out the door. She'll push me all over the place. But you know, look, 99% of the things that happen up here happen to her. She knows it. She takes it a lot more personal than me. So I want to thank her for the support. But she did remind me that we are going to have another Mayor's Ball, charity gala. It will be October 3rd, and it'll be at the Manor in West Orange. And for those people who want to send me emails about why I'm not having it in Bloomfield, it's about the money. It's about the money, people. They're giving us the best deal around, and you know, that's what it is. You see what happens when we save money. It comes back to these people, and it'll come back to other people. So thank you very much, and have a great week. Thank you.